Greetings, traveler. I am Akira, a representative of the Twilight Society and the curator of these tales. Today, we will embark on a journey which is My Hero Academia, Road to Power 4. As always, if you want to support the creator of these works, their Patreon and story link will be in the description. Now without further ado, buckle up and enjoy the story.
Chapter 61. I can't think of anything that would make every muscle in my being cringe. I thought while erasing the name Fist Murderer from the board, I had reached that point. Choosing a hero's name is a tough task for most new heroes. All Might wanted to call himself One for All. You can see how that would have been stupid. Nana said, sighing at the end. Okay, let's point out what I am good at. I am great at taking hits, have inhuman endurance, help whoever needs it, and have never stopped even when injured or under enormous pressure. I think I got it. Midoriya, it's your turn, my knight said after Bakugo failed to call himself a villain. Getting up from my chair, I head for the front of the class, write something on the board and then show it to them. Atlas. Oh, I can see why you chose that. Quite a fitting name if I can say so, she says with a smile, telling me to get back to my seat. Actually, I had received permission from Niza to go to the support department whenever I needed to. Unless I am required for something else, do I have permission to go? She takes out her phone, sends a message to who most likely was Nizu, and after receiving an answer looks back at me. Yeah, sure, you can go. Your internship letter will be sent to you in a few hours anyway. I nod and head out. I have blueprints to draw and equipment to create. I need to create something similar to a Ripper dock chair if I want to even imagine applying a single chromo to my body. At this point, blades can't do much to me. After finding an empty room with my name outside, really Nizu, I got inside and found several types of machinery and materials that would help me a lot in my future as an engineer. Currently, my level in engineering is too low to create something like that. So before that, I need to level it up, and what better way if not to create weapons? I took out the Frostblade blueprint and started examining it, trying to find possible ways to recreate something like that with my current materials. Apparently, to create an actual Frostblade you need a metal from a planet inside the Warhammer world which would produce a freezing aura when activated through electricity, or the diamond hard fangs of a kraken to create the chainsaw variant. I have none of the two, but I have another thing, quark-fueled technology. Between the machines left from Nizu, I discovered some special ones that were created by people with special quirks that made them able to create machines with special effects that would normally require a century of research just to understand the theory behind it. One such machine made it able to infuse metal with specific effects up to a certain limit. For example, you could infuse a piece of metal with high resistance to low or high temperatures, make it more or less conductive, and more functions. What interested me was the resistance to high temperatures. With my current ability and technology, I have no way to create a metal able to create and resist low temperatures, but it would be much easier to create a flame sword instead of frost one. So by infusing some tungsten bars with high temperature resistance, basically raising it to 5000 C, I was able to create the base for my flame sword. Now, how do I create a firebolt to cover the sword low enough to not melt it, but high enough to melt everything else? I remembered a video I had seen when I was still in my other world, where some dudes were able to create what in that period could be considered the nearest thing to a lightsaber. They had made several versions of it, one using electricity and another one using propane. The problem with the electric one was that if I wanted to swing out in the open, I'd need a battery strong enough to produce as much electricity as a nuclear plant. Which I don't have, right? Thanks to the infuser, the name of the machine, and the knowledge from Cyberpunk, I was able to create something similar to a battery-sized nuclear plant. It wasn't as strong, so it wouldn't last forever, but it would last long enough for a fight. I am not an engineer in real life, so believe my bullshit please. No name. A battery created by Izuku Midoriya produces half as much as a nuclear plant. It is contained inside a tungsten shell infused to make it more resistant to electricity, and a core made out of silver. Engineering LV.1 equals 8. Engineer I LV.15 equals 20. New metalworking LV.1 equals 11, makes it easier to work with metal during creation. Now I had the fuel, I just needed the car. Coping the shape of the frost sword, I created the skeleton of the sword with chromium infused to make it harder and more resistant to heat, and then covered it with the infused tungsten bars, which had been now reshaped to sheets and then heated to melt around the sword. The heat inside the room had reached a point where some fire alarms were about to start, but L made it just in time to stop them by finally finishing the sword and adding an on and off switch to the battery. letting it change from a normal sword to a flame sword. For the shape, simply search Frostblade Warhammer 40k. I added as a last touch some tungsten and chromium teeth to the outer layer of the sword, turning it into a chained sword. Flame sword. A sword created by Izuku Midoriya. Taking inspiration from the frost sword, he was able to create its counterpart by using any material he could find. It doesn't hold a candle to the original, but it will do. Effects: fire on, able to coat the sword with heat and cause severe damage to enemies. Lasts an hour before needing to be recharged. Durability: 10,000/10,000. Engineering LV.8 equals 18. Metalworking LV.11 equals 23. Oh, how I love technology. Who the hell made a volcano? Said Power Loader after barging into the room with a fire extinguisher. I turned towards him while almost naked. I had removed my clothes to prevent them from burning, with a sword in hand, and sweating like a Discord modder. Me? Chapter 62. I forgot to mention that Izuku gained 5 levels in the engineer class. So let me get this straight, you created a lightsaber? Something like that, more like a flame saber. I can't bend light for now. For now? I swear to God, kid, if you try to do something that stupid I will kick your ass. Power Loader says while massaging his forehead. I already had May, but now you too? Kid, you were already a problem because of the times you destroyed your suit, but now you want to destroy the whole support department with your crazy experiments. Everything was under control the whole time, I said while acting my way out of this. Yeah, sure, and May won't make anything explode today. The world must hate him, because as soon as he said those words an explosion happened in a room near the one where we are. Why can't I just shut up? He said while nearly crying. You, stay there and don't do anything stupid, he said while going out of the room to assure everyone was still alive. After he went out of the room I pondered his words. He was right, my suit couldn't withstand the type of fights I go through, mostly because I take hits and don't evade them. I think my next best step would be to create an armor that I can use until I find something better. Or should I wait until I have good enough materials? My body can already be considered armor after all. I checked the engineer tree to find a possible solution for this problem, and I found the skill that I could buy but would deal a huge blow to my tree points reserves. Ah, fuck it. You have bought Assimilation LV. Max 500. Assimilation LV. Max. Your creations are a part of you and will forever be when creation has a direct impact on the user body. Dermal protection, neural link, mantis blades. The parts will fuse completely with the host body. They won't impact the host body image and then will grow stronger with the stats related to them. Happy that I have removed a major problem in my future chromed life. I finally started studying the Ripper Dark Share lasers to be able to open my skin and apport modifications to it. While I continued my studying I was so focused that I didn't notice someone sneaking in. Where is your baby? I turned towards May, who was covered in ashes and had the lower half of her top burnt, and her usual pants. Meh, if it's fine for her. How did you escape Power Loader? That's not important now, where is it? She asked with a kind of lust in her voice. I take it out. Not that you dirty-minded fuckers. When she sees the sword I am judging myself now, her smile widens and tries to snap it away from my hand. Before she could I moved away and karate chopped her forehead. What do you think you are doing with another creation? At least ask. You are right, can I see it please? She said, make a sad dog face with a trembling lip. Here, don't turn it on for too long though. It might make the fire alarms go off. She started examining it, checking the blade, the resistance of the materials, and lastly the battery I had created. You made a battery? None of the ones here would be able to sustain the consumption of this beast if I didn't. Yeah, okay, but how? We don't have the materials required. Is that an infuser? She says while dashing towards the machine to examine it. Oh my god, I have asking Power Loader from the moment I have been here. Can I use it? She began repeating the same question while moving towards me. Before I could even answer she had already placed her forehead against mine. Being too near for my comfort I shut her mouth with my hand. Fine, but only when I am here. The last thing I want is for you to burn all my projects, got it? I ask her. She starts nodding faster than any human should be able to, and as I was about to remove the hand, someone got inside. I think this anime world logic is starting to annoy me. I thought while using every fiber in my body as fast as possible, while not hurting anyone, to move away from May and not create a strange situation. Aizawa came inside the room and looked around for a second, and when he spotted me he looked at my attire for a second, sighed, and then told me to come with him. May, as you heard, you have to leave. Whenever I am here I will try to tell, okay? She nods and skips out of the room, not caring about the blood some of the kids will lose from their noses because of her. I followed Aizawa after wearing my reserve UA gym clothes, and he led me to Nizu's office. Inside were Rumi, Yagi, Nizu, and who I recognized as Gran Torino. They were arguing against each other while Nizu simply smiled and drank his tea. When I arrived they looked towards me in unison and were about to start talking, but Nizu had already started. Midoriya, you arrived just in time. The discussion was about to become too heated for my comfort. I approached the trio and looked at Nizu. What seems to be the problem? Mirko here wants you as her partner during your hero internship, but All Might thinks you should go with Gran Torino to train your control over One for All. I looked at Rumi. They already explained everything. You were already strong and growing after everyone else. But now you even have something like that. Lucky bastard. She says, walking to me and ruffling my hair. I smile at her. After all this time I still see her as my older sister, and it makes me happy to see her. Yeah, fuck off, you know how hard I had to train to reach that point. She scoffs and remains silent. Young Midoriya, what do you think? Yagi asked. I don't think I need any type of training over One for All. I already have quite a good control over it. My body just has to get used to it. Currently I can use 50% and 3 of the quirks. X5 boosted stats, because his stats went higher. What? Gran Torino shouted when he heard what I said. He most likely doesn't believe me, after we are talking about a power that could level whole cities, and I got used to it in 2 days. Prove it, kid, he said while activating his quirk and teleporting in front of me to punch me. He didn't really teleport, it's how he saw it. I activated One for All in a blink, and used Black Whip to catch Gran Torino before he could actually hit me. Seeing the incoming danger, he uses his quirk once again to evade them, and move away and fly away in the enormous room. I activated Float, and using the air pressure created from every movement I made I was able to fly towards him while adjusting my direction with Black Whip. He continued escaping while I got used to flying like this. It was hard, but I just needed to get used to it, and it would be much easier. I was about to finally catch him when I heard Nizu's voice. I think that would be enough, Midoriya. I smiled and deactivated everything while going down. Torino was heavily breathing. He hadn't needed to use this quirk as much for a long time. Fine, you can choose whoever you want, he said, finally giving up. Actually, I would prefer going with both of you. What? They said at the same time. While Mirko can help me train and fight villains, you can help me get used to using Float and One for All. How would that work? Rumi asked. I go with you on odd days, I go with him on even days. I approve it, Nizu said with a smile. Same here, I guess, Rumi said while smiling. I guess I have no choice then. Torino was the last one to accept it. I guess I will be quite full the incoming days. Chapter 63. It happened the day after Ida discovered about his brother, the day Gran Torino decided to take me to a patrol, the day when the air felt drier than usual. New quest. A city needs help. Goal 1. Save as many citizens as you can. Goal 2. Stop the 3 Noma. Goal 3. Stop the hero killer stain. Bonus goal, kill? Reward, summing all 3 goal rewards plus 5 class levels, 10 rare tickets. Bonus reward, 1 ultra rare ticket, per ticket. I knew what was about to happen. I was ready, I am ready. I just had to move faster than I have ever done. When my 6th sense and danger sense quirks start shouting, I turn towards Torino. Call every hero you know and make them move as fast they can to this area. It's going to be a long night. As soon as those words came out of my mouth, some explosion could be heard a few streets away. Without even turning, I had already started moving, and every fiber contracted to form a demon face on my back, while thunder and runes spread along all of my body. Whenever I watched someone needing help with my eyes because of the explosions, I used Black Whip to catch them and move them to the ground. I continued saving whoever I could with the help of some other heroes. We were doing a good job until the trio arrived. Recognizing me as the most problematic hero, they came rushing like mad dogs. I have to hurry up, or Ida will die. Without holding back, I speed blitzed the trio, using Flame Sword to decapitate the 3 of them and burn the wound to not let them regenerate too fast. This won't let them move for some minutes. But suddenly the 3 of them started fusing together. Whatever was happening was sending chills down my spine like I was fighting the Lich. Whoever is free, search the alleys for the hero killer Stain and occupy him long enough to let me arrive. Considering how I had just decapitated beings who most heroes thought were undefeatable, whoever could follow my orders started searching the area. You wanna play all for one? Then let's fucking play. My hair started floating with the activation of rage. All my Guardian boosting skills activated, making me even stronger. The Avengers' skills working above their standard, turning all the damage I was taking from the fire into stamina and extra damage boost. The monster was about to stop fusing, but I wasn't stupid enough to let it. Considering how our fight would evolve, I activated Float while catching the big monster and threw him up in the air, following him closely to continuously hit him with Flame Sword and Black Whips. It finally had fully fused but was already missing an arm and a leg. Fire immediately started spreading off his body while he tried to fly away with his wings. Oh, you fucking don't? Moving right through the flames, I catch his body and move towards his back. I plant my sword right through his back, making it appear on the other side, and then cut upwards, splitting half of the monster in half. The wings were somehow still working, but not for long. I activate Tear, put the sword in my mouth, and catch on the two wings, starting to pull. It took quite some time, but after I was finally able to tear the wings out of the monster and make it fall. Not wanting to destroy the city, I toned down one for all and then used the stomp of the falling Noma to turn it into a meteorite falling to its death. The notification for the XP made me sure the things were dead, freeing me and letting me search for Stain. When I descended, some looked at me like a villain, and some like a hero, but most looked at me for what I was, someone who helped. I moved like a man and searching every alley. And when my nose finally smelled blood that I had never smelled before, my body moved under my command, using adrenaline shot to make me move faster without having to use too much force. When I arrived at the scene, the world moved in slow motion, the swords slowly descending on Ida's head, while a hero was already on the ground bleeding and Shoto was paralyzed with a cut cheek. Before Stain could move even another inch, I was already between him and Ida, blocking the blade with a single finger. He was a bit smaller than I was, so he had to look up to look me in the eyes. But what he saw made me leave the blade behind while jumping away by kicking my stomach. I didn't even move an inch after the hit, and instead used the chance to break the sword by crushing it with my hand. Stain, what an honor, I say with a sarcastic voice. Who the hell are you? He said after taking out the machete on his side. I am a hero in training trying to save some lives. A hero? Then why do you reek of more blood than I do? I said I am a hero, not the hero this world accepts, I told him with a smile. A hero this world doesn't accept? Quite the big dream you imposed on yourself. What's the worst thing? People won't love me or the hero industry hates me? Fuck them, I will be a hero even if it meant to become a vigilante. You say such things but you back them up? He says and then dashes. I have to say, his body had reached the peak of human standards. No other human on my previous Earth could match up with him. Even without his quirk, unfortunately for him, I wasn't a normal human anymore. I don't move and let him attack. The blade moves towards my stomach, and it pierces my skin, which was now comparable to leather, but gets stuck on my muscles, which had contracted around the blade to stop it from moving. He tries to free it, but he can't move it, so tries by taking another blade, and another, and another. He had used his whole arsenal to try and injure me even once, but he never made it past the skin. And thanks to my inhuman body, no blood would come out of the wounds unless I wanted it to. What the fuck are you? He says after losing his final weapon. I just took a step and every weapon that was stuck in my body was destroyed by the muscles blocking them. I already told you. And to my sadness, I punched him in the face, making sure that he fainted. I would have hoped for this to go differently, but I am tired after the fight with the big-ass monster. I have little patience to make him see him as a true hero. I turned towards Ida, who was deciding if he should cry or shout at me. You are an idiot. Chapter 64. I covered Stain with Black Whip and walked towards the Ida, who was starting daggers at the now unconscious Stain, and nearing the hero to give him some first aid to slow down his death. You want to kill him? I asked with an emotionless voice. His head snapped towards me, eyes filled with tears, mouth trembling with words that didn't want to come out, hands tightened in fists. I dash. You don't want to do it, you want revenge. Revenge for what happened to your brother, and believe me, death isn't revenge. It's the quickest and stupidest way to go about revenge. Now, make him go to a prison where his quirk will be suppressed, and he will be constantly living in a shitty room? That's more like it. The last part is just to make Ida believe my words. If it had been my brother to got hurt, Stain would already be without eyes and fingernails. But that's another story. I don't to let a good hero become a killer, not for now at least. I was walking out of the alley when Shoto stopped me. "Thanks for saving me," he said while not directly looking me in the eyes, most likely feeling embarrassed. "No problem, you were pretty good to be able to resist that long against him." He nodded and moved away, letting me finally get out with the hero in my arms and staying unable to move. When we came out, the first 3 people that arrived were Mirko, Gran Torino and Endeavour. "Kid, are you alright?" Torino asked with a worried tone, seeing my burned clothes and an incapacitated Stain. "Good job with the Nomu," Mirko says with a smile, seeing the abomination on the ground split in half and missing his wings. Endeavour didn't speak, looking at me and at Stain. Only after a few seconds, he did notice Shoto in the back helping Ida get out of the alley. Before he could speak though, I stopped him by using the intimidating presence skill. I saw through his eyes that he wanted to scold Shoto. The last thing I needed right now was to hear him talk. After around a minute of silence, police arrived at the scene and cuffed Stain, letting me free of another problem. But then it arrived. Like a bullet, I saw another Nomu drop towards Stain. "You want to play like this all for one? Fine by me." Before the Nomu could reach Stain, I grabbed it and smashed it against the ground in a Hulk against Loki style. After being smashed around, it tried escaping using the mist that had just formed. Seeing it, I snapped the neck of the Nomu and took out something from my pocket. In these days I had enough time to create some equipment from the cyberpunk universe. One of these was this FGX frag grenade. A frag grenade with enough explosion power to destroy a room. But the part that deals the most damage are the tiny pieces stored inside the granite that will be thrown at bullet speed when it explodes. I removed the pin and threw it towards the gate before it could close. If it hit or didn't, it's not my problem. They closed pretty fast after the grenades went inside, leaving us free from the problem of All for One intervening again. "Was that a grenade?" Torino asked, surprised by the turn of events. "No," I acted innocent. "It has been a week since the Stain incident. During this time I waited to reclaim the mission rewards to farm XP from fighting villains and building things, making all my classes reach level 10, and my global level 15. After I claimed the rewards, all classes reached level 15, and both the ultra rare ticket and the perk ticket were used on their own. Reward, summing all 3 gold rewards plus 5 class levels, 10 rare tickets. Bonus reward, 1 ultra rare ticket, perk ticket. Name, Izuku Midoriya, age 17, race, human. LV.15. Class, Guardian 15/100, plus 1 and, STR. Berserker 15/100, plus 1 STR. Will, Avenger 15/100, plus 1 and, STR. Martial Brawler 15/100, plus 1 STR. Agi, Runic Warrior 15/100, plus 1 Will. Dex, Edge Runner 15/100, plus 1 Int. Agi. Production Class, Engineer 15/100, plus 1 Int. Dex. Status Points 55. Stats. Strength, 272, plus 15, Endurance, 253, Dexterity, 225. Agility, 226, plus 10, Intelligence, 152, Wisdom, 120. Willpower, 184, plus 10, Charisma, 78, plus 25, Perception, 86. Secondary Stats. Fighting Spirit 5. Perk ticket used. Rapid Brutality. Whenever killing a big group of enemies, the more enemies you kill in quick succession, the more your damage will be boosted. Effect. Receives a plus 1% damage boost for every kill in succession. Familiar Summon Night Fury Child. Name? Race, Night Fury Dragon. Once thought of as the unholy offspring of lightning and death itself. Night Fury have shown several resemblances to cats, making them more cute and actually scary when befriended. But don't misjudge them. When reaching adulthood, they are able to fly at impressive speed, even considered able to teleport, harness the power of lightning, and become the king of all dragon even when one is already present. I had to use all my willpower to stop myself from making a girl scream when I saw I had received a Night Fury. I mean, having a bear is already cool, but having a dragon and a Night Fury is every man's dream. I had to excuse myself from class to head to my room, where I was already sure to have deactivated all cameras after a talk with Nizu and summoned Dran to make him meet his brother. After calming down, I summoned the Night Fury. It needed a name, and like Bjorn, who was now clinging to my leg, it appeared out of nowhere. Black scales, green eyes, no teeth, horns around the head, and a bigger than Bjorn. It turned towards me, and like a cat, it jumped off the ground and started climbing up to place itself under my shirt. A clingy bear cub and cat dragon, cuteness overload. Chapter 65. After having enough cuteness to kill a man, I put down Hod and Bjorn to let them play with each other while pondering my next step. Tomorrow there will be the final exam, and if I have to I will drag Bakugo's ass to the finish line no matter what. New quest. Final exam. Goal: finish the final exam. Bonus goal 1: finish under 10 minutes. Bonus goal 2: beat All Might. Reward: +1 level up, 10 gacha tickets, 1 high attribute stone. Bonus reward 1: +10 levels turbo, speed focused perk unlock. Bonus reward 2: +10 levels up, legendary ticket. I take a look at the current situation of my stats, skills, and perks. I discovered something. Every 5 levels in classes and global rewards a perk point, something I had not discovered till now, and since I currently have 7 classes, that all reached level 15, plus my own level, I currently have 24 perk points. Seeing how perk points are unlocked based on my current stats and skills, I decided to invest my stat points first. I think I will use some to make strength reach the 300 mark while using the remaining to smoothen the other stats. I started investing the points, and with every point, I felt my body becoming more real, more alive, and more monstrous. By the time I had finished, my stats looked like this. Strength 300, plus 15, Endurance 260, Dexterity 230. Agility 230, plus 10, Intelligence 160, Wisdom 120. Willpower 185, plus 10, Charisma 80, plus 25, Perception 86. Secondary stats. Fighting Spirit 5. Not bad at all. It's the time for the perks. The list of possible perks had become much longer, and it would take a good minute just to scroll the way down without readying any of the perks. But thanks to speed reading, I read everything in around 5 minutes, and started pondering on what my best choice would be. I think the elemental resistance one is a must, considering I have no defense against elements. It would also make my job as an engineer easier since I could start working on much higher temperatures. I could also buy some of the skill-related ones since some of them seem very interesting. After another 5 minutes, I finally decided what I should and shouldn't buy. After spending all the points, I took a look at the description of the new perks. Elemental Resistance 5/5, 5 points. Sustain more than 50.000 HP worth of elemental damage. Reduces damage received from elemental damage, not magical, by 25%. Rune Genius, 5 points, rune-related skill above 30. Improves the leveling speed of all rune-based skills by 50%. Reduces the chance of failing in applying runes by 25%. Unlimited Rage, 10 points, Rage skill must have reached max level. Apart from the boost from the Rage skill, a +1% damage boost for every second you are fighting will be given. None of the remaining perks attracted my attention, but now that I had free time I decided to try and apply runes to Flame's sword. I had held back until now because of the possibility of it exploding, but with my current skill level, control over soul, drawing skill, and new perk, I am sure I could do it. I created a scalpel with my soul around my finger and started inscribing on the blade of the sword. While previously I could only apply a rune at the time, but with my current ability I can mix runes to create more intricate ones that have various effects. One of the effects I had been trying to create from the moment I had created the sword is Rune of Battle. When wielding the sword and fighting an enemy, a +10% to damage and defense will be given. A combination of the runes for talent, warrior, and strength had created this awesome rune. The shape was simply the combination of the 3 runes. Apart from this, I applied various runes that gave small but significant boosts, which if amassed would give with the boost to my strength. By the time I had finished working on it, night had already fallen and I didn't even notice Hod curled on my lap like a cat and Bjorn hugging my neck, both sleeping. I almost coughed blood because of the hit I just received, but I resisted, and with the highest finesse, I placed both Bjorn and Hod on bed sleeping while hugging each other like the little brothers they were. Asterisk, they are so cute, asterisk, Nana said with a girly scream, the first time I saw her acting like a girl. Asterisk, they surely do, but the dragon is the cutest, asterisk, Daigoro said while smiling. Asterisk, no, it's the bear, asterisk, Haikuch retorted. They started fighting each other about who was the cutest, while I worked on some other blueprints for some new possible creations. By the time it had started becoming annoying, I cut the connection between us, and would restore it once I had finished in the morning. Engineer ILV.37. In +7. After a full night of doing but studying, I was able to create some new blueprints for possible weapons and modifications while leveling Engineer I and training my int. I readied myself after a shower, gave some fish to Hod and meat to Bjorn, took some time to convince Hod was just a quark-influenced salamander, and got out. After all, I have my finals today. Chapter 66. Guess what? Sometimes canon can be broken and changed from its natural script. How can I say this? Young Midoriya, are you ready? While your classmates will have to fight other teachers, you will have to fight me. All Might says after seeing my stunned expression. Yeah, as you might have guessed, as my final exam I had to fight All Might by myself, not reach a finish line, not complete a certain objective, not save people, just fight All Might and see how much time I could stand against him. Now, as much as All Might is weakened and losing One for All, he still is a beast of a human, able to use 100% of the One for All for a few minutes. Now with my current usage of One for All, my stats, skills, and other perks, I can be categorized as 8A, being if I count other factors I might reach 7C. But All Might is in at least high 6C, maybe high 7A, because he is weakened. But we are comparing someone able to destroy a town to a fucking big-ass mountain. Get the difference? Now, will I cheat? Of course I will, because All Might know a lot of things, but he doesn't know how to hold back. While we were walking, I pat All Might on the shoulder and applied on his hero costume a rune of weakness on him, basically a rune of strength reversed to apply a loss of 10% in strength. Any more than that and a clear rune would have been visible on his costume, which would have attracted too much attention. After reaching the room where the exam would happen, I started readying myself. All Might turned on One for All, turning on his buff form and taking a boxing posture ready to attack when I was ready. While he doing that, I had already placed my flame sword on the ground, and implanted a faux Sandevistan which was applied on my back. It can slow down time only by 20% when activated, but didn't need to be implanted inside the body. I also decided to not wear any armor since it would be useless considering how my body is harder than any armor I currently possess. He doesn't use Berserker armor because it would be hard to explain how he has it. I started using One for All while applying runes all over my body, which mixed well with the green lighting zapping all around my body. While my hair began floating, my back began contracting, turning in its demon back form. I also activated Adrenaline Shot and right on track to improve my possibility of winning. I reopened my eyes and stared at All Might, whose smile had apparently widened at my show of power. Are you both ready? Misa asked, ready to activate the wall's defense to make sure our fight does not destroy the whole school grounds. Yes. We stayed at the same time. It took 1 second, and in that second we both dashed against each other, fists met and a sonic boom spread inside the room, making it tremble and causing cracks to appear on the cameras inside the room. Fortunately, they were quark enchanted to repair by themselves. What started as a single fist against fist bloomed into a full-blown brawl between two monsters. Our fists constantly met against each other, causing more sonic booms and damage to the structure around us. Until All Might decides to take it up a notch and speed his fists to make it miss mine, aiming for my stomach. My brain, already working at inhuman speeds, instinctively activated the faux Sandevistan, letting me barely evade the punch and instead deliver one against his face, right on his nose. While my fist surely landed, One for All also improves endurance. The only reason Izuku didn't explode each time he used OFA at the start, making my fist not hit a human nose, but a pure mountain. My little surprise was welcomed, and I received one too. All Might smiled even more and decided that the best way to return the favor was to try and hammer punch down 6 feet. I activated Black Whip, stuck it to a wall and pulled. Instead of getting hit on the head, the punch grazed my shoulder, but that was enough to dislocate it. With a dangling arm, I was in front of All Might with a just as big smile. With a quick pull, I readjusted my arm. Just as he was about to move, I activated a new thing I had just received. Smoke screen. While smoke spread everywhere inside the room, I activated Float to fly around All Might and pummel him with a One for All boosted Black Whip, hitting him everywhere he wasn't defending himself: back, legs, arms. Just as I was about to hit again, he moved at lightning speed and clapped his hands to make the smoke dissolve. He turned towards me just as fast and appeared right in front of me, his punch already too near to my face for my comfort. Thankfully, the faux Sandevistan had already recharged, letting me activate once again, making me able to grab All Might's fist and use it to move away while also kicking him in his face with everything I had. The hit had caused some damage to my leg. After time returned to normal, I landed on the ground and rolled near FS ready to grab it. But just as I was about to, Nisa's voice could be heard. "I think that is more than enough. Any more than this and one of you could get hurt, without considering the damage you already caused to this room and everything in the near vicinity." We both stopped looking around the now in shambles room. The previous metal walls that were supposed to stop us were completely destroyed. The floor under us was 10 centimeters lower, and the cameras were unable to repair because the damage had surpassed the repairing ability threshold. "Young Midoriya, I am seriously proud of you. You have been using OFA for only a month and you are already able to use it to this level. I am also quite curious about the technology you have been using during this fight." Just as I was about to talk, a voice could be heard from the intercom. "I am too Yagi. You had told me your protege was quite a genius. But if what I am seeing is right, what he created is something beyond any biological technology we have been using till now." "You think so too, David? I told you I made a great choice. I would like to talk with him if he has a moment after this." Oh my God, am I about to meet the David Shield? Chapter 67. "It's an honor to meet you," I said while bowing. "And it really is. I am talking with the dude who was able to create a suit to make All Might fight against All for One in a one-on-one without dying after all." While bowing, I also take a look at his daughter, Melissa Shield, maybe the only quirkless kid who, despite being quirkless, was able to prove herself with her technological discoveries and inventions. One of them being precisely the reason why Izuku could use One for All at full power. "Get up, kid. I have more experience than you, but I still can't fully understand how the things you have built work, so I should be the one bowing and asking questions." I rise up while scratching my head, knowing that most of the things I have built now were only modified blueprints from already existing technologies. "The thing you placed on your back, can you show it to me?" "Of course, I call it Faux Sandavistan. I named it Faux because my original idea was to implant it inside someone's body so that their perception of time and overall speed would be amplified in the same amount." "How would that work without burning someone's brain?" "Just the way I see it, not necessarily true and biologically correct." "Well, that's why I currently modified it to be placed outside the body to lower the boost, but if I can find a way, my plan is to incorporate it into the spinal cord, thus boosting the nerves in the brain, and also the ones in the body to make them answer the messages received by the brain at the same speed, and for protection. I had imagined using some type of electric discharge designed either as an electrical output placed somewhere in the body when the energy collected is too much, or something similar. But a user still would need to be physically fit to being able to resist the use without needing an immediate discharge, some of the electrical charges already dispersing in the muscles. That could work, but... Yes, but... Okay, but you considered... Even though I wanted to continue, considering how our discussion was giving me lots of ideas, we were interrupted by Nisa. "I am quite happy to see you doing so well together, but I would like to refrain the both of you from making my school explode," he said while eyeing me. "You made the school almost explode?" David said while looking at me. "I might have created a battery that can produce half as much as a nuclear plant, but very small." "How small are we talking?" he said while his eyes were split open. I bring forward the flame sword and show him the lower area where a goofball-shaped battery could be seen glowing. "That, tell me any type of physical or chemical belief we had to this point, and I am sure this thing broke them. Even though the design was made by me, I had the help of an infuser to make the materials necessary for this. Without it would have been impossible. That is still impressive for your age." While we continued talking, I noticed Melissa getting near and eyeing the battery of the sword. "You want to inspect it? Can I?" "Yes, but I suggest you don't lift it." "How heavy can it be?" "Can I, Nizu?" I said with a smile towards my favorite mouse/bear/dog hybrid. *sigh, sure, it will be quite funny. Cover both of your ears, I said to David and Melissa. After seeing them do as I said, I threw the sword towards the ground. Initially, all looked normal, but as soon as it touched the ground, an ear-piercing clang spread inside the room. The floor didn't have any damage to it, but it was a bit dented. "I guess I will listen to you," Melissa said while looking at the sword. After talking for another 20 minutes, I had to excuse myself since I received a call from Mina, asking me if I wanted to go shopping with them. Seeing me going away, both Melissa and David gave me their number in case I ever had any type of problem with the blueprint. "Are we ready?" Mina said to us. "For what?" I asked her, some others also wanting to get an answer. "You don't get to speak, you left all of us alone." "Well, I'm sorry if I had to get my ass kicked by All Might." Regardless, are you all ready to spend your money? The hive mind happened again and a sigh came out from everyone's mouth at the same time. Scary. We began splitting in groups, and since I had really nothing to buy, I checked the mission reward for the mission I had received. Final exam. Goal: finish the final exam, heavy check mark. Bonus goal 1: finish under 10 minutes, heavy check mark. Bonus goal 2: beat All Might X. Reward: +1 level up, 10 gacha tickets, 1 high attribute stone, heavy check mark. Bonus reward 1: +10 levels turbo, speed focused perk unlock, heavy check mark. Bonus reward 2: +10 levels up, legendary ticket X. Level up 15 equals 6. 5 status points. All classes level up 15 equals 16. +10 level turbo skill 50 equals 60. New perk Unstoppable. Unstoppable. For 1 minute, regardless of your weight, you are able to move around as if you had no extra weight. Has an upper limit determined by stats. In case the upper limit is reached, the effect will only last 30 seconds, and you can move with 50% of your speed. That's pretty cool. My body is starting to become quite heavy. Fortunately, I have been focusing on strength the last few weeks, thus making me able to move. But if endurance was to once again surpass my strength, I wouldn't be able to as easily as I do now. My thoughts were interrupted by the awaited hand reaching for my neck. Turning towards, the owner of the hand recognized the face, but I had to focus because now there was a sickening burn scar on it. Like my last gift? His pinky inches closer to my neck, anger visible on his face. If it had been for me, I would have already killed you. I smiled. He didn't expect me to smile. He expected fear and anger. But happiness? What the fuck? Try me, you fucking dry burn meat. Chapter 68. It happened in an instant. My body moved faster than Shigaraki's finger ever could. I catched the finger with my right hand, snapped it so backwards that it was dangling on the back of his hand while the bone was visible. He wanted to scream, but before he could, I had already grabbed his maw and ripped it off while punching him in throat to not let him call for help. But help still arrived. A portal opened, and while Shigaraki got sucked in, 3 other people got out. One was a girl with blonde hair wearing a school uniform and comically sized instruments for blood transfusion. A man whose skin looked more like leather than actual skin, and the Chinese version of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mixed with stain. Some of my classmates heard the commotion and were approaching to try and help, while the civilians were being escorted out by those who didn't want to fight. I sighed seeing 3 broken characters who I didn't want to fight. One got bullied by his father, one by her parents and school, and the last by basically everyone. I hated bullies and hated fighting those who were bullied. But I won't back down from a fight. The lizard dashed towards me, trying to impale me with his sword, while the girl aimed for my back to puncture my skin with her needle. Leatherman was standing there waiting for an opportunity to roast my ass. I didn't move, letting the 2 try and even cause some damage. The blade snapped, and the needle couldn't even puncture my skin. While they were stunned by my apparently indestructible body, I watched both of them by their heads and smashed by one against the other. As soon as they fell to the ground, they also got warped away from Kurogyri. Tuya didn't move, aware that he didn't have a lot of chance against me. The most he could do was roast my clothes, burn me a bit, and then get his bones broken. So he didn't move, waiting to get warped away. Your brother is doing a good job as a hero, I told him, catching him by surprise. Emotions got the better of him, and he didn't jump in the portal when it opened up. Instead, he dashed towards me ready to fight. His body was covered in blue flames, the temperature reaching above the 1500 Celsius mark. His hand moved right in front of him, and a wall of flames headed in my direction. Not wanting to get naked because of him, I used Black Whip to move away and then floated to move midair and propel myself against him. He was surprised by the sudden change in style, and tried to defend himself by creating a flame globe around himself. Using One for All, I coated my hand and extinguished the flame with a swipe of my hand, letting me catch him by the throat. Who the fuck are you? He struggled while talking, finding it hard to speak while having a hand a few newtons away from snapping his neck. I am a friend. I hate Endeavor as much as you do. I know what he did, and what he is doing. I don't have any proof against him, but now I have you, the proof of all his abuse. Why give him the sweat satisfaction of death when you can expose him and show the world who he truly is and ruin everything he worked for, ruining his whole world? He seemed confused by my words, and before he could talk, black goo started coming out of his mouth. Not wishing for a meeting with the final boss, I released him and moved away. The seed has been planted, I thought while smiling, seeing Dabi's eyes still looking at me. I ignored the XP reward, none of it being enough for a level up, and instead waited for the arrival of the police. Being the main character sometimes is annoying. After getting home, I had to stay for 30 minutes with my mother to ensure everything was alright. After I was finally able to go to my room, I decided to summon both Had and Bjorn to let them play or rest on my lap. Getting my daily dose of cuteness helped me relax. I still have those 10 rare tickets to spin, might as well use them. You have used 10 rare tickets. Sonic screwdriver, plus manual, use 2 tickets. It is called a screwdriver, but it is more accurate to call it a multi-tool, able to do nearly everything any tool can do: wrench, plumber, an actual screwdriver, you name it. But to able to use it to its full capability, it must be studied for years. But since you don't have the time, here is a manual. Gray's Sports Almanac 1950 to 2000. Not really useful, but rare. Double XP rewards. A ticket that can use to gain double experience for 1 hour. The boombox. A very famous boombox, can be used to play any music you have in mind. While being used, the right on track perk effect will still take effect, but thanks to it others will also feel some of the effects. Psychic paper. The psychic paper is the ultimate time saver. You could mess around landing on a base/compound/ship you're not meant to be on, get captured, wait for some sort of alien threat to happen, and then save everyone's ass. Or you can just flash a bit of paper that tells people you're the head of HR or something. Just don't use it on anyone who looks a bit too smart, it won't work. Exodus Rifle Blueprint. Used only by the extremely skilled assassins from the secretive Vindicare Temple of the Officio Assassinorum. The Exodus Rifle is an incredibly powerful sniper rifle, modified to fire special rounds designed specifically for the art of assassination from a distance. X3 Attributes Gemstones. Plus 18 int. Plus 16 dex. Plus 20 end. As per usual, the effects from the stats gain were addicting, but after it disappeared I read all the rewards with full attention, and damn did I strike gold. I think the system wants me to become the Dr. But buff. Chapter 69. It had finally arrived, the day that would completely change this world, the fall of heroes and the rise of villains, the birth of the Demon King and the death of the hero, and the birth of the new one. I had trained as hard as I could, but I have no idea if I was strong enough. In the show, all for one, he never went all out, and in the manga, he always looked like he was playing with his enemies, so unless I can pull out of my ass a plot armor punch, I have to hope what I have is enough to stop him, at least temporarily. While we were on the bus, I continued tinkering with one of my last projects. Thanks to my sonic screwdriver, I didn't need a whole range of tools to work. It was more than enough to do whatever I needed, and it had the function of turning the sound off. While working, I didn't notice some of the eyes taking glances, mostly because I was working in what was supposed to be a holiday. Oh, how wrong they were. After arriving, I placed the gadget in my backpack and head out. So, Sensei, where are we supposed to go? We are waiting for someone. 4 cats appeared, all wearing different colors, with one being a cross-dressing version of me. Hello gals and kiddos, welcome to your hellish summer camp. I recognized as Mandalay said while waving at us. Did she say hellish? Uraraka asked while worried at the implications. Yep, now it's my turn to explain, Pixie Bob said while moving towards us. The camp is that way, she said while pointing towards a big structure visible from here. Arrive before evening and you will have the permission to eat. As those words left her mouth, an enormous wall formed under us. It would have been easy to create a web to catch everyone with Black Whip, but where was the fun in that? Like in Slide, first came the fall, then the curve, and lastly the landing. After we all found ourselves in the forest, we were slowly surrounded by earth monsters, and when I say surrounded I mean it. Now, what happens when a Berserker/Guardian/Avenger class hybrid, with more power than anyone present, a level-up system, and a need for XP, finds himself surrounded by trees? Well, of course, he activates one for all, grabs 2 trees, eradicates them from the ground, and starts crushing all earth monsters as if they were ants. A tree broke? No problem, grab a motherfucker and hit another motherfucker, also known as earth monsters. Seriously, I wasn't able to fight this much from the time I fought against the Lich. When I finally saw that no other monster could be seen, all my classmates had already arrived at the camp, and that the sun was nearly setting, I rushed towards the camp, covering the distance remaining in 5 seconds. When they saw me arrive, they all had different expressions. My classmate and Aizawa were used to my antics at this point. Class 1B, Vlad King, Wild Pussycats, and Coda weren't. Hey guys, sorry I was late. Had some flight to take care of. Global level 16 equals 23. Class level 16 equals 18. Very big ones. Finally, having enough points, I brought my perception to 100 and placed the rest in endurance. Per 86 equals 100. 40 equals 26. And 286 equals 312. In human perception perk gained, thanks to body limiter removal of Hanma bloodline perk. In human perception, your senses have grown past common sense, get it? Granting you abilities no normal human ever had, and even giving you the possibility in the future to combine them. Happy with what I had, I approached my class, using my new sense to hear the conversation between Aizawa and Mandalay. And we are supposed to train him? No, he is a tough nut to crack, but he won't need training from us luckily. He can train however he sees fit. Then why is he here? Precaution and to make him look normal. Mandalay felt the hidden message in Aizawa's words, so she didn't further and simply spared me a glance. After I reached my class, I saw them chatting with each other while discussing what they should cook for dinner. Does any of you know how to cook? I asked, even though I knew the answer. Apart from Bakugo, no one raised their hands. I raised both of my sleeves, revealing my muscular scarred arms, and turned to Bakugo. What are you up to tonight? What do we have? He asked me while turning to the ingredients given to us. Potatoes, onions, carrots, different spices, rice, and pork meat. Curry? Seems like it's our only choice. While everyone stared, two of the scariest men in UA started cooking like Michelin-level cooks, peeling potatoes in seconds, cutting carrots with each piece of the same size, and cutting onions without crying. Instead of looking to help us, peel some potatoes and go get some wood for the fire, I said while getting everyone back to reality. Didn't know you could cook? Bakugo said while removing the majority of the fat from a piece of meat. Never asked, I said while adding another carrot to the pot. We didn't say anything else and instead continued cooking. After 1 hour and a half we had finished and served the plates to everyone. After seeing them moan for a second, they began wolfing it down. Cooking LV 99 equals max. Finally, took you long enough. Ignoring the new maxed out skill, I also started eating but stopped when I saw Kota staring at us, unsure of what he should do. I sighed and got up from my seat, approaching him with 2 filled plates. I placed one on the ground with a spoon and sat on the ground starting to eat my own. After seeing him not starting to eat, I looked up to him. It's gonna get cold if you don't start eating. He didn't move and made a strange face, but at my next words, he began eating. I can eat it if you don't want it. He immediately picked up the plate and started eating the curry as if it had been the first thing he had eaten in years. Guess LV. Max cooking isn't a joke after all. Chapter 70. The last few days were nerve-wracking. I have been pushing my body beyond its limit every single awake moment, and considering how I had bought a perk that removed the need for sleep, it meant I have been training, working, and tinkering for 24 hours out of 24. I also refrained myself from cooking since it would make me lose too much time, only spending some time with Kota to become friends. I had hoped that by telling him I had a surprise for him I would refrain him from leaving the camp. But you know how canon is, as much as you can change some parts, the key points remain the same. How about we go into the forest to see the most courageous one? Mina asked with a smile. Isn't it pointless? We all know it's Izuku, Ajui said while placing a finger on her chin. Touché. While they were joking, I activated my computer personification skill to make my brain work faster. I used ping to check the area for any enemies, and I still didn't see anyone. What's wrong? I heard someone ask from my side. Standing beside me was Aizawa, looking in front of him to not attract attention. I do the same before speaking. Would you believe me if I said a villain attack is about to happen here? I would have to ask you how you know. I just know. I have no time to explain, but if it really happens and the others are inside the forest, something bad will happen. Okay kids, it's time to get inside. What? Why? It's only 9 p.m. Because I said so. Don't let Ketch out of the dormitory, he said while activating his quirk to make his airflow in the air. All the kids followed the order after seeing him like that, some curious as to why I was still standing near Aizawa. After a few seconds, the wild pussycats arrived, wondering why Aizawa had told everyone to get inside. I will let the kid explain. Before they could question me tough, I decided to fuck caring about security and reveal what I had been doing these days apart from training. Placing 2 fingers in my mouth, I whistled to the nearby troops. Like a scene out of those bad sci-fi movies, robots began coming out of the forest and ground. Wolf-shaped ones, Panzerhund, bird-shaped ones, Stormbird, and lastly snake-shaped ones, slither-fanged but small. The reaction of the heroes to seeing a full-blown army of robots arriving made them take a step back, giving them the opportunity to take a look at my engineer class progress. Production class, Engineer 30/100 equals 50/100, plus 1 in Dex. Engineering LV.50. Engineer I LV.60. Metalworking LV.63. In 203 equals 223. Dex 265 equals 305, he also trained, so it's 20 points from training and 20 from level up. Closing the window, I started ordering the robots. Wolf Squad, protect the main base at all costs. Bird Squad, fly above the forest in search of enemies and inform the Snake Squad of their position. Snake Squad, take care of any enemy you are sure you can take by yourself. Simply send a message to me and try to slow them down for long enough. They began moving like ordered, the wolves surrounding the dormitory with their snouts pointing towards the forest ready to fight whoever approached. The birds disappeared in the sky, and the snakes were underground, in search of any enemy. Midoriya, what a dash! No time to explain, I have been creating those, they won't attack, only defend, now I have to go save Koda. I once again activated Ping, and in only a few minutes the forest had been filled with red spots. Cannon can't be broken, but it can fuck you up by multiplying the number of enemies and of Nomus. Oh come on! Without wasting any more, I activated all boosting skills and perks, activating one for all at 70%, and the only thing they fear is you started playing. Just like an arrow or a bullet, I snapped and moved towards the hill, the earth breaking with each step, while on my body various pieces of equipment started appearing. Various Noma blocked my way, but just like a truck, I smashed through their body, leaving behind masses of organs and muscles. XP notification filled my ears, each kill making my power grow. After about a minute I reached the area where I knew Koda was, just in time to see a Noma muscular about to punch Koda and instantly kill him. The world seemed to slow down, almost entirely stopping as I saw the punch getting closer and closer. I ordered every single muscle in my body to obey my orders, and everything moved to perfection. Like the most perfect symphony, they followed my commands to move as I said them to do. Under Koda's eyes, the only thing he saw was a green light tacking muscular to the wall, and going 5 meters in it. From inside it, sounds of rock breaking, muscles tearing, and bones being turned to powder could be heard. After 10 seconds the body of muscular was now beyond recognizable. If before he was quite different from his normal attire, now he was just a mass of broken organs and bones, a sliver away from death, which arrived soon after with a bullet right in its head coming from your well-known Izuku, me. Storing the Desert Eagle, I moved to Koda, grabbing him like a sack of potatoes. "What are you doing?" "I can walk," he said while trying to free himself, the last part coming more like a mumble than an actual phrase. "I know, but this will be much faster." Going a lot slower to not kill Koda, I moved towards the dormitory, and just as I arrived under my eyes a full-blown war was happening. The robots killed whoever they perceived as a threat to the bird robots, also had to lose their reconnaissance job and fighting too. The heroes fought against whoever slipped past the robots. The kids were all watching the fight from the windows, trying to understand what the hell was happening. Seeing an open window, I jumped towards it and got inside in one fluid motion. "Izuku, what the hell is going on?" Kirishima was the first to notice my entrance inside the room. "No time to explain, villains, robots are with the good, take care of the kid," I said while placing Koda on the ground and jumping back out while my classmates were screaming to get back inside. Before, Right on Track perk hadn't taken effect since not a lot of enemies were present, but now, Right on Track. The only thing they fear is you. Effect, fear amplification, enemies will tremble when you walk among them, one-man army. Because you are no human but a slayer in human skin, glory kill, and your strength grows from slaying them. Like a walking Death Reaper, I rushed into the mix, rapid brutality and unlimited rage making my damage grow stronger every single second, and with every single kill. I snapped a Nomi in half and used its broken spine to pierce 2 other Noma's heads. Used broken arm bones to pierce an eye. Smashed someone's balls with a kick. The more they were, the more brutal I would be. The wanna kill me? Come and fucking get me. Chapter 71. Everything and everyone stopped fighting or even moving. My presence, my arrival, and my carnage had made most villains shit their pants, and since the machines were built only to counterattack, they had no reason to fight. In the silence of the night, no one moved, spoke, or even breathed. They were too scared of me. But the silence of the night was broken by the strange sound of a slowly increasing whistle that had made those able to hear it even more scared. Like a shadow, a black shadow, a fusion of death and lightning, approached the villain crowd and released a plasma bomb against them, killing several villains on the spot before they could even react. After making his entrance, Hod got back to me and landed on the ground, its body now a few times bigger than his first summon. From the forest, another enormous black monster made its way through the villains, trashing their bodies like they were made of paper. When it got near enough, it slowed down and lowered its head to receive a pet for its good job. After petting Bjorn, I walked forward, each step carrying more weight and strength, each second passing making my power rise. I had no reason to hold back anymore. It was all or nothing, it was life or death, and it was time to show my true power. In just a second, an enormous change happened to my body and to my aura. First came the runes and the lighting, then all my stats fueling skills made my body aura change from a monster to a full-blown demon ready to kill every single being in the face of the earth. Around my body, a black armor resembling a wolf suddenly appeared. On my right hand, my flame sword suddenly appeared, already flame on. Meanwhile, on my left hand, one of my newest creations started appearing. Super Shotgun. Even though it is a mere copy of the original, thanks to the skills of its creator, the weapon can be considered a weapon of mass destruction, with bullets able to penetrate even the hardest walls, and able to create small explosions. This weapon can only be wielded by the strongest human, otherwise, the holder would get crushed simply because of the weight of the weapon, and even if they could lift it, they would die because of the recoil. Maybe he became crazy, after seeing a fucking dragon, a bear, and what looked like the devil himself. Who wouldn't? But one of the villains decided to simply try and kill me by using Fingerblade's quirk. The blades were able to reach me, none of the machine or familiars even worried for a second. The moment the blade touched my armor, it snapped, not able to even pierce my armor. Before he could react to what had just happened, a big hook was planted in his right shoulder. His brain didn't even have the time to register, suddenly getting impaled, that he had already been pulled towards me. Storing the flame sword and the shotgun, I grabbed the head of the villain and one of his legs and started pulling. Blood sprayed everywhere, his scream making everyone tremble in fear at the thought of something like that happening to them. I mentally used the double XP gain, because this was no fight, this is a slaughter. Finally plating the sword on the last standing villain, I store all the weapons that I had been using until now, store my armor, and deactivate all skills, my mind and body already having gone beyond their limit. I stayed there, my breath ragged and my body looking like nothing had happened. The only proof of what I had done was the hundreds of bodies on the ground, some alive and others already well beyond death. I did it, no one was able to get inside, I was sure of it, no one would get kidnapped, and I wouldn't have to meet All for One and fight him. I had done it, I won. My right hand suddenly felt a smooth sensation, while my right one came in contact with what felt like hairs. Bjorn and Hod were helping to not let me fall, feeling my tiredness through our connection. Not really feeling like walking, and not seeing anyone trying to approach me, I got on the ground to take a look at my gains from the carnage I had caused. Several skills have leveled up. Total tree points, 1530. Global LV point 18 equals 90. Plus 360 status points. Class levels LV point 18 equals 50. Plus 36 perk points. Plus 64 end. Plus 128 STR. Plus 64 will. Plus 64 agi. The rush of power was addicting this time. If 10 points felt good, this felt better than an orgasm. Okay, maybe not really, but you get the point. I refrained from using status points, perks, or buying new skills and slowly got up. My approaching superhuman level endurance had already healed any injury I had and refilled my stamina. Each step I took towards the main building felt strange. No one had come outside. The scene was gruesome, but at least they had to make some sound, scream, be happy, anything. But I felt nothing, no one was inside the building. My body moved on its own, like a machine. I got inside the building and searched everywhere, for anyone, but they were gone. I am alone. I couldn't save them. I had done all of this for nothing. A sickening feeling started forming inside my stomach, my senses alerting me that some people were approaching the area, but I was too focused on the feeling spreading all inside my body. For a second I had thought it was sadness, but I was wrong. Oh, how wrong I was. Since the beginning of the universe, humans were always overcome by emotions, but at the start emotions all were controlled, they were good. But then what happened? What made the humans fall from their grace? What had caused the death of billions of humans over all the years? What made empires fall? kings die, and God tremble. Rage. Error. External beings are forcing the evolution of the rage skill. Several omnipotent beings are trying to control the evolution of the skill. The true holder of rage has been given the opportunity to help. The true holder of rage has helped in the evolution of the skill and stopped from outside interaction. Rage LV. Max equals primordial rage LV. Max. Primordial rage LV. Max. You are rage, your blood is fire, and your body is a weapon ready to fight. You are no mortal anymore because each second you are alive your rage is a poison to the world itself. Effect. All physical stats get an x5 bonus. Adds to the multiplier of 1 for all. x10 plus x5 equals x15. Any being seen as an enemy will receive a debuff to their strength no matter their strength. Each kill boosts your strength. The angrier you are the stronger you will get. Side effects. Each second this skill is activated you will be damaged as your body can't contain such levels of rage. The world trembled. Everyone on the face of the earth felt it. Something had awoken. A monster wished for death. And any being that would find itself in front of it would be punished. Because such a being was no human anymore, but pure and unfiltered rage. Chapter 72. It had all happened in a second. The instant the skill had evolved and activated, my entire being changed from a very strong human to something way beyond that point. I had become the apostle of rage, the harbinger of revenge, the epitome of fury. My body was now covered in red lightning, my hair floating in the air because of my mere aura, my nails breaking because of how tight my fists were, my muscles screaming, wishing to take action, my bones cracking under my because of my current levels of strength. Suddenly my head snapped towards the entrance, where 4 heroes had gotten inside, their faces unsure of what they were currently looking at. Young Midoriya/Izuku? Rumi and All Might asked at the same time. The other 2, Endeavor and Hawks, stayed still wondering if they would have to fight me. They took them. My voice sounded distorted and broken, carrying more emotions than they ever did. What are you talking about? Rumi said, looking around the house. All Might's face immediately realized what I meant, and when he saw my face, he understood what I was about to do. Midoriya, please do not do it. All Might said with a sorrowful tone. He felt weak, unable to help the students whom he had sworn to protect. I have to, All Might. If I don't, who will? As those words came out of my mouth, my body disappeared from my building. Where I previously was, an enormous crack could be seen, and the roof of the house was now missing. Both All Might and Hawks immediately started chasing me, them being the only ones able to barely keep up to my current speed, Rumi and Edinburgh having to follow the directions told to them through the intercom. Each time I touched the ground, cracks spread like webs. My weight, strength, and speed had already surpassed human standards, but my senses barely kept up with it thanks to the boost from primordial rage. It took 1 minute to reach the city, and when I reached the border I jumped up in the air using float to stay there, using my senses to try and track the location of All for One. My search continued to prove useless, and my rage grew more and more until it reached a point of no return. Instinctively using shout, the air around me started to tremble, while my throat readied the loudest scream of its whole life. All for One, get your ass here, you fucking bitch! Apart from windows breaking, kids screaming, dogs barking, and animals running away, no one answered my call. I swear to God, if you don't come out right now, I will kill every single one of your pawns. I will destroy your plan. I will do everything in my power to ruin everything you worked for. This time an answer came, but it wasn't AFO, but just an army of gnomes that appeared from thin air. Seeing the army, I felt offended. I had already destroyed your army several times. You think this can stop me? Using a sonic boom created from a leg movement, I appeared in front of the army, and used a black whip to cut in half 3/4 of it in just a second. The remaining weaker gnome were either cowering in fear of my presence, or straight up fainting. A being that should be unable to feel fear was for the first time in its whole existence being overcome by it. You wanna play? Then let's fucking play. My body shifted and positioned itself towards a very specific bar I had found during my research for AFO. I deactivated float and forced the use of FA gene and gear shift. The air split at each of my movements. The only comparable to my current movements was a meteor falling against Earth. With each second I moved, more and more strength piled up until I reached the bar. Just a second before I destroyed the whole area, a portal opened in front of my face. Smiling at the scene, I used gear shift to lose all of the momentum and instead threw all of the grenades I had inside the portal. It didn't have time to close before they all fell inside, an explosion happening about a kilometer above the structure. The portal closed, and right of me the door for the bar could be seen. A wicked smile spread from ear to ear. I walked through the door, yes through. I didn't open it, I directly used my body's strength and endurance to bend the 12-inch thick metal door. Everyone inside the room was trembling. They all had seen me fight before, they knew what I was capable of, and they thought they were ready for me. Oh, how wrong they are. Everyone apart from Shigaraki has to immediately exit. Everyone who heard the words felt like their worst nightmare had suddenly decided to pop up in front of them. I felt Kurojiri try to summon a portal to make Shigaraki escape, but before he could even move he had been thrown out of the building right through a wall thanks to Black Whip. Anyone else? Tuya was the first out to answer, grabbing Toga and twice to immediately outside. The others quickly followed. Seeing Shigaraki's frown deepen with each member of LOV leave him made my smile widen more and more. Until just me and Shigaraki were left. Before he could talk, a black liquid started coming out of his mouth, but just as it was about to cover his body, I had already grabbed his neck and placed my hand right in front of his chest. I dare you, do it. I want to know who is faster between me and your quirk, I said to OFA, who I am sure is listening. The black liquid stopped and started retracting inside Shigaraki's mouth. Good, I said while making a cute smile, which didn't look so cute after I snapped Shigaraki's neck and tore his heart from his chest. I let his body to the ground, my right hand crushing the heart. The ground and air started to tremble, and a being of immense power appeared from thin air. While he appeared, I placed a foot above Shigaraki's head, sure that he still had a way to revive him. You are the 9th user, he said with a calm tone as if he had everything under control. So you are the cockroach who refuses to go down. You dash. Say anything else and his head will explode like a watermelon, I said while applying some force to Shigaraki's head. He stayed silent, seeing Shigaraki's current situation. Good, now, unless you don't want your work to end with him, make all my classmates and teachers appear outside of this bar. With a wave of his hand, I felt the familiar presence appearing. Now remove all the shitty quirks that make them under your control. This time he didn't move, but after an eye had popped out of Shigaraki's head he moved. The strange smell I felt from everyone disappeared. Good. As those words came out I smiled. And crushed Shigaraki's head. I never said he would live. Chapter 73, God's Fight. For a fraction of a second my body became the perfect instrument. Every muscle of my body moved in unison to let me move at my maximum speed, my power screaming, wishing to be used to fight and kill, my mind thirsting for the blood that is fueling my anger, all for one. I had become a force of nature, an unstoppable force that wouldn't be stopped even in front of an unmovable object. I stopped holding back. I activated what I had in my arsenal, from the weakest to the strongest of my powers, skills, perks. They were all helping me to complete my mission, kill that motherfucker. As fast as a bullet train I smashed my shoulder against AFO's chest, jumping from the ground to bring the fight where I didn't have to hold back, in the sky. Using gearshift my movements stopped being visible to the naked eye. They had become bullets hitting AFO everywhere on his body, each punch pushing me and him further in the atmosphere. By the time we had passed through 3 of them, my danger senses shouted at me to move, but instead of simply evading I grasped AFO's arm and threw it towards the ground. His body was spinning for a good minute before it stopped, his body looking as if nothing had happened to hit, the only proof of my attack being the current state of his clothes. I must say that among all One for All users you are the strongest, the most annoying, and the one I will have the most pleasure in taking down. Before anyone says something, AFO's power scales will be through the roof. He has the power to steal other people's quirks and use them in unison. And considering we are in a world where there are kids able to walk through matter and rewind time, I think it's only reasonable for him to be this strong. As a whole planet had crushed on my shoulders, my body started falling to the ground. My fall was only slowed down by the effect of gears hit and float. Before hitting the ground I activate FA gene to store the energy of the incoming hit, and smokescreen to cover my next attack. The moment I hit the ground, a deafening explosion spread everywhere, the smokescreen not letting anyone know if I had survived the hit or died on the spot. But in my current state, I was beyond pain, beyond injuries, beyond death itself. I am rage, I am wrath. I what has caused the fall of kingdoms, empires, gods. I am what will take down a god while only being immortal. Primordial rage started building up. The angrier I became, the stronger it got, and the more damage it was causing to my body and mind. I was losing my sanity. I was stopping being human and turning into a beast with only one wish, to kill. My teeth grew to turn into fangs, The runes on my body turned red, influenced by my rage. My nails turned into claws, my hair floated in the air, and my eyes fully white. The usual green lighting produced by OFA, now darkish red, gave me an even more intimidating aura. But while for others I looked like a monster, for OFA I was comparable to a child trying to fight an adult. Let's see how you will like this. Fully realizing FA gene while activating Atlas, my body moved so fast that even my body was getting damaged by it. I was beyond my limits. Each second I continued fighting. AFO used everything in their arsenal: fire, ice, lighting, wind, earth, radiation, and tried to cut me using some sort of space quirk to make me age faster with some sort of time dilatation. But nothing had the effect he expected, all of his attacks only making me angrier and stronger. Just as I was about to hit him, he disappeared, reappearing behind me to hit me with another wave of attacks. The thing went on for I don't know how long, my body slowly becoming more and more like the one of a monster with each damage I received. After the nth blink, I was able to predict his teleported using my instinct and danger sense, and caught me by the neck. If he could have seen, even he would have shivered because of what he was currently seeing. What was currently in front of him wasn't a kid anymore, but a monster in a human skin. Using my new claws, I decided to adorn AFO's body with a few new holes, piercing his lungs, heart, and other organs. But he simply tanked the hit, as if those organs were nothing more than a burden for him. His previous arrogant smile was gone, and instead, an expression of anger now covered it. He had never had to fight at his full strength, not even against All Might. The injury he had caused was nothing more than a miscalculation of his strength. But Izuku was beyond any of the OFA users. He had grown beyond their standards and was doing everything in his power to kill AFO. While our fight continued, other heroes reached the city, rescuing the civilians and protecting them from our fight. It had reached levels where it looked more like a fight against God than heroes and villains. My classmates also started helping the civilians and the heroes, aware that my current situation was also because of their inability to stay away from OFA's grasp. Is Izuku going to die? Mineta asked what everyone was thinking but didn't dare to ask. Everyone turned towards the fight, where our classmate, who we all now recognized as the strongest hero, was fighting the strongest villain. The tension could be cut with a knife, but it was destroyed by a sudden shout. Kick his ass, Izuku! Mina shouts with all the air in her lungs. Everyone turns towards her, her classmates, the heroes, and the civilians. What they previously saw as a fight between monsters now was slowly turning into what it truly was. A desperate fight between a kid and a monster. If you die, I am going to fucking kill you, Bakugo shouted after getting his courage back. You must win, Izuku, Uraraka shouts. Slowly, more and more voices started fusing, all with one singular thing in common: the wish for Izuku victory. Heroes, villains, civilians. In this moment, everyone watching the fight felt the same thing while watching Izuku's back. It felt like an unmovable wall stopping the evil from flooding and killing all of them. But why should they leave the wall alone? Why not help by supporting it? Even though Izuku was starting to lose his focus because of his overwhelming rage, One for All wasn't. Since the start, One for All is a power created by the hopes of others to stop evil. It was shown several times the willpower of the host of OFA fueled the power to go beyond its limits. But what happens when the wills of a whole nation fuse? When they are all hoping for Izuku's victory? The power evolves to accommodate it. Chapter 74: God's Fall. Every human being, no matter how weak or strong, scared or angry, evil or good, is important. Every single one of them is a singularity, every one different from the other, making their decisions, and creating different changes in the universe as we know it, no matter how small of change it was. But the majority of those humans weren't doing something different. They weren't being angry, scared, or sad. They were all chanting one name in the hopes of surviving, of seeing the hero thrive and defeat the evil guy. That name is Izuku Midoriya, also known as Atlas, the humanity's hero. I was losing, quite badly. The more time passed, the more quirks All for One started using. More quirks meant more damage to me, and more damage meant I was getting stronger but also angrier. But it seemed that no matter how strong I was getting, no matter how angry I was becoming, I always was few inches away from delivering that good punch to hit All for One in the face. My mind was in pure chaos, filled with enough anger to overwhelm a universe, all contained in a mortal mind that cannot process such levels of anger. But then, inside that storm that was my mind, a sparkle of light started forming. It was absorbing the anger, creating something not exactly more powerful, but strong enough to defeat All for One. My mind began clearing up, my eyes became less blurry, and when I saw the incoming ice spike aimed for my eye, I didn't tank it. I instead grabbed it, and used the force behind to throw it back to EFO. That threw him off, not expecting a sudden change in my fighting style and giving me a chance to assess my situation, and try to understand what the light inside my mind was. Attention, primordial rage has been temporarily stopped by World's Hope. One for All is reacting to World's Hope. One for All is evolving. One for All equals universal hope. Universal hope. You are the hero the universe needs. You are the hope that sparkles the flames inside the hearts of the weak, the light that brings humans to safety, the hero who grew past weakness to save everyone. But now you have the strength to save the one that needs it. Effects. You have all the previous effects of One for All. But aside from that, your stats are now multiplied by x 0.1 plus, for each person who hopes you win. So if there are 100 people, it's x 10. The world stopped, the hit that was aiming at my head moving in slow motion. Everything stopped hurting, and the previous red world was full of colors. I somehow could hear the screams coming from all around the globe chanting my name, hoping for my win. For the first time in this fight, I smiled. Using the back of my hand, I parry the incoming hit and deliver a right hook straight to All for One liver, covering it with holy damage to make it count, and considering how evil All for One is, it counted a lot. The moment the hit touched AFO's body, a monstrous shockwave made the sky clear from any clouds spread for 100 kilometers. AFO's face darkened, somehow, and he teleported away. You know, All for One, until now I have been fighting you by myself, but I forgot something very important, I said while taking out a full restoration potion and another item from my inventory. My body recovered completely thanks to the potion, while the other item began taking effect. The boombox. Current song, I'm Still Standing. Effect, pain nullification, enhanced health, strength, endurance, vitality. I didn't have the time to read the whole long list because of the incoming hit, which I blocked using the indestructible boombox and countered with a kick to the nuts. I am still standing, bitch. I shouted in rhythm to the song. You wanna know my power? It's being randomic as fuck, I said while taking out several smoke grenades and using them to cover my tracks. Once again, All for One tried to track me down using his heat vision. But these smoke grenades weren't normal, they were very flammable. All for One clothes got caught in the fire, but no apparent damage was dealt to his body. But I knew it. The quirk that defended him from the physical damage was starting to fall. As soon as the fire disappeared, I was already prepared with my weapon. Say hello to my little friend, I said while shooting a plasma bullet from my Exodus rifle training for his head. He teleported before the bullet could hit, but it allowed me to do something I had refrained from doing until now. Using my status points. Strength, 440 equals 500. Endurance, 350 equals 500. Agility, 310 equals 500. My eyes darted in the direction my danger sense warned me AFO would appear. I moved like a bullet train, and used my whole body to smash against him, thanks to my improved strength, endurance, and speed, plus the boost I gained through Universal Hope, and the damage boost from Holy Damage made the hit count. The defense quirk had been broken. My body moved like the well-oiled machine I had trained it to be. All my muscles moved at the same time, all my nerves ordered my body to move, and my bones heavier than they had ever been. The punch counted, and it was all it needed to kill All for One. The punch pierced right through his chest, breaking his bones, and making his organs explode, his body limp over my arm while the blood that he coughed covered my face. I told you I would have killed you, I said right next to his heart, while the effect of the holy damage slowly started taking effect and burned the body, turning it into nothing more than dust. Vengeance has been delivered. Primordial rage has returned to rage thanks to the help of the god of rage. Universal hope remains because of your accomplishment. Your willpower has. I couldn't read all the messages because my body had gone past its limit, Juggernaut trying its best to not let the pain kill me, but I was tired, just so tired I just wanted to sleep. And I did just that. I slowly closed my eyes, my body feeling heavier than it ever felt as it fell to the ground. I had done. I defeated All for One. Chapter 75. You did it, kid, a feminine voice said from inside my soul. I knew I was there because of the green sun staring at me. My soul had grown beyond what should be possible. It had so much energy that it is an insult to compare it to the sun. It looked more like the UI Scuti, the biggest star ever recorded. I am sorry about Shigaraki. Nana frowned when I nominated her grandson. As much of a villain Shigaraki was, he still was her grandson. You did what you had to do. His death wasn't necessary, but But I won't accuse you of doing a bad thing. His psyche had been pushed beyond repair. He wasn't my grandson anymore. He was AFO's puppet. Nana told with a neutral, trying not to make me feel too bad. I didn't say anything else, continuing to stare at the enormous star in front of me, feeling the earth coming from it. What now? I asked her. One for All has accomplished his missions, so we will disappear. I will miss you, I told her with a smile. She smiled and hugged me, but it only lasted a few seconds because she slowly started disappearing, and so did the arms around my body. I tried to summon the Wood of OFA, now called Universal Hope, UH, but no one came. I sighed, feeling sad for their death, but I knew it would happen. They had already told me it would. It's time to wake up then. Using my control over my body, mind, and soul, I willed my body to wake up, and so it did. I opened my eyes, finding myself in what I recognized being a hospital room. No one was around. Maybe they were too afraid to be around me. Finally, having a minute by myself, I took the chance to look at the changes in my status and the rewards from killing AFO. Level up X65. All combat classes have been maxed. You can now choose a new combat class. By withstanding the effect of primordial rage, your willpower has grown to the realm of the unknown. Willpower 300 equals? Your soul power has been officially turned into a secondary stats. You are now able to use it as a form of magical energy. Soul power? By having officially killed the boss of your current world, you can decide to change the world. Be aware that there is still an unfinished main quest. Because of your fight against AFO, you have gained the skill All-Round Resistance LV.1. You have gained several classes. Your title number 1 and hero have evolved and fused into Universal Hero. Universal Hero. When fighting against people you see as evil, you will gain a stat point in every stat for every being you are protecting. The host is made aware that due to the use of temporal quirks, your body age has grown to 21. I expect everything. I also felt bad for now saving Eri. Overhaul power scared me until yesterday. As soon as I get out of here, I am coming to save you no matter what. It was the last message that worried me. Getting up from the bed, I noticed that every step I took cracked the floor. I was much taller, now 6 feet and 8 inches, and last but not least, I had a beard, and it was green. Hell no. I thought while getting a blade from my inventory and shaving it, which was harder than I thought considering my hairs are now as hard as steel. After I had finished shaving, I was about to search for some form of mirror, but my research was stopped. Someone had opened the door. What I recognized as a nurse opened the door. It took her a second to realize I was awake. When our eyes met, I swear I saw the fear of God in her eyes. With quite an impressive speed, she bolted outside shouting, "He is awake!" As if the world had been awakened by those words, I heard several steps approaching, what I recognized as helicopters flying outside the hospital, people trying to get inside the hospital, people crying, laughing, shouting, "What the hell is going on?" 3 people opened the door to my room, Yagi, Aizawa, and Niza on Aizawa's shoulder. "Young Midoriya, you are awake!" Yagi nearly shouted. Tears were forming in his eyes, and his hands and legs trembling because of the shock. Aizawa was in a better state, but I could still see the happiness on his face at seeing me awake. Niza instead looked at Aizawa and then back at me, and with a quick jump sat on my shoulder. "How long was I unconscious?" "1 day. No doctor was able to understand if you were recovering or not. Your wound was healing by itself. They couldn't check any parameter because of your absurd body, and any medicine we tried to give you did nothing," Niza told me while adjusting himself on my shoulder. "Most likely it's because my body sees them as poison, so it defends against them." "Why are there so many people outside?" I asked while going to the window and stopping far enough so no reporters could see me. "Are you serious? Your fight was recorded globally. You are being recognized as the #1 hero." "And?" "Globally," Niza said with a smirk, most likely thinking about the implications of having nurtured the #1 hero inside UA. "Damn," I said while smiling. "How is everyone? Anyone hurt?" I asked Aizawa. "No, any damage that had been dealt by All for One has been healed. They are only worried about your situation." "What will you do now?" Niza asked. I stayed silent for another minute, simply looking at the paparazzi. "I think I am going to adopt a child." Chapter 76. "Come on, Eri, we have to go." A masculine voice while pulling me away from my room. "But why? We already did the daily extraction. Do I have to do more?" "Please don't. I was a good girl. I did dash." I prayed for the nightmare not to restart, but my runt was stopped. "Shut up, you fucking kid," he shouted, his grip around my arm now hurting even more. I had to stay silent. I was used to it. I just needed to listen and stay silent. I stopped talking and continued being pulled away, trying my best to keep up with him. My naked feet hurt. My arm felt like it was about to be pulled away, and my lungs weren't used to moving too much. But I stayed silent. I needed to do it to be a good girl. "Chisaki, what the fuck is going on?" Another voice I recognized was of an overhaul assistant asked. "He is coming here. He should be dead and instead he is coming here," he said, his words and tone becoming more slurred with each second. He was scared, more than I had ever seen him. "Who is coming? Who is coming?" the other guy asked, his tone now as scared as Overhaul's. "I am." The three of us turned to the voice, and my eyes turned into two big spheres. In my entire life I have always been with bad people, so I can recognize who is bad and who is good. I have met few good people, but I can say without a doubt that he is the nicest. "Once again, how were you aware of this child's situation?" a policeman asked me, his tone of voice a mixture of fear and respect. He had recognized who I was, so he knew what I represented. "Officer, could we talk about this at a later moment? You are scaring the child," I said while pointing at the bundle of cuteness sitting on my head. "Eri is the tallest," she said, smiling and holding my head with both of her small hands. The officer looked at the child having fun and didn't have the force to continue further the questioning, so he moved away. "What do we say, Eri?" As if she had returned to reality, Eri looks to the officer and, with the biggest smile a child do, says, "Goodbye, Mr. Officer," she said while waving her small hand. Eri was super effective. The system told me while I saw the officer in front of me, and some nearby hearing Eri melting because of the cuteness. "Did I do it right?" she asked me. "Perfect," I said while riffing her smile, which made her giggle. "So she is the child?" a voice I recognized asked me. When I turned I felt Eri moving, trying to get closer to it to pet it. "Yes, Eri wants to pet Nizu. I suggest doing so while he drinks tea." "She is. Why the urgency? You tore a hole through the hospital to get here as fast as possible. I sent you both the details. I don't want to talk about them since one of the victims could hear." At those words, Aizawa takes out his phone and puts it in a way where he and Nizu could read the specifics. The aura around the two shifted with every word they read, what they had done, not only to Eri but also to several other civilians. They weren't villains anymore. Monsters could be a more fitting name. "What did you do to Overhaul?" At the mention of the name, Eri trembled a little, the effects of the trauma still present in her young mind. Scroll down. They did, and an image of the current Overhaul was present to them, his arms and legs gone missing, his manhood turned into mincemeat, his eyes pulled away, his tongue cut off and burned to not make him die too fast, his ears cut off. He had become a slab of meat with a barely functioning brain and heart. "The Hero Commission won't be happy?" "Right, the Hero Commission. I knew I still had something to do." "Izuku, what do you mean?" Nizu asked me. For the first time since I met him, the worry was present in his tone. "I am going to do something that will make people talk about me in two ways, one very good and one very bad. Eri, would you mind going back to the house while I deal with this? Had and Bjorn want to play with you." "Okay," she said, visibly happy to play with the two balls of cuteness. "You have activated the house function. Here your human summons can rest while waiting for you. You are also to connect your animal summons to this space to make them interact with each other. While inside here, any need for a summon will be satisfied, from food to entertainment. Yep, the best reward for a newbie dad." "Where did she go?" "Izuku, what are you going to do?" "I am going to do one last thing before going away." "Away? Where are you going?" Aizawa asked, finally speaking for the first time during this interaction. I simply smiled and then read the notification I had received after defeating Overhaul and saving Eri. "You have 100% of your current world. You have the possibility of completing the final hidden mission. Failing society. Goal, overwrite the Hero Society. Reward?" Flexing my leg muscles I disappeared, heading for a well-known place that would have caused the start of the final war in the original story. Tartarus.
Akira here, this is the end of the story. If you enjoyed the story, we would appreciate it if you liked the video. Also, please support the original author for this amazing work. I have put their Patreon and the web novel link in the description. Thank you and have a great day.